Admiral James Stone stood at the command window of the Earth Defense Command flagship Thunder, his weathered hands clasped behind his back. The vast darkness of space stretched before him, dotted with the running lights of over 300 human warships. Each vessel represented the peak of human military technology, and together they formed the largest battle fleet ever assembled in human history. The quiet hum of the bridge electronics filled the air as crew members worked at their stations. Stone's steel-gray eyes reflected the soft blue glow of the tactical displays. 20 years of fighting the swarm had left their mark on his face, but today felt different. Today, they had something the enemy couldn't imagine. "Admiral, all ships report ready for quantum jump initiation," reported Captain Wells from his station. The younger officer's voice carried a mix of excitement and tension. "Engineering confirms the new drive systems are operating at optimal levels." Stone nodded slowly. "Show me the target zone one more time." The main display lit up with a three-dimensional map of their destination. The swarm fleet hung there like a cloud of angry wasps around humanity's former colony world of New Hope. Their biomechanical ships had overwhelmed the colony's defenses 3 months ago, adding another world to their list of conquests. "The swarm still hasn't detected our gathering point," Commander Gray announced from the sensor station. "Their patrol patterns remain unchanged." She tapped a few controls, highlighting the enemy formations. "They're maintaining their standard defensive clusters. They have no idea what's coming." Stone allowed himself a small smile. The quantum jump drive was humanity's greatest secret weapon. Unlike the crude jump systems used by the swarm, which needed hours to calculate safe arrival coordinates, the human ships could now appear exactly where they wanted, when they wanted. The precision would let them jump right into the heart of the enemy formation. "Time to jump?" Stone asked, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. 7 minutes, sir," Wells replied. "All ships are synchronized to the countdown." The Admiral turned to address the bridge crew. "For 3 years, we've watched the swarm tear through our outer colonies. They thought their numbers made them unstoppable. They thought their technology made them superior." He paused, looking at each crew member in turn. "Today, we show them how wrong they were." The bridge crew straightened in their seats. Even the youngest among them had lost someone to the swarm. Friends, family, entire colonies. The enemy's bioships had seemed unstoppable, until now. "Engineering reports quantum core temperatures optimal," Chief Morris called out from his station. "Power distribution is stable across all systems." "She's purring like a kitten, sir." Stone activated the fleet-wide communication channel. His voice would reach every ship in the battle group. "All vessels, this is Admiral Stone. In 5 minutes, we make history. The swarm thinks they know human capabilities. They think they can predict our moves. Today, we show them how much they don't know about humanity." He watched as status indicators turned green across the tactical display. Weapons powered up. Shields charged. The new quantum drives hummed with energy never before harnessed by human hands. 3 minutes to jump," Wells announced. The bridge fell silent except for the necessary status updates. Stone could feel the tension, the anticipation. In all his years of service, he had never felt such confidence before a major battle. 2 minutes. Across the fleet, gunners manned their stations. Fighter pilots sat ready in their cockpits. Marines checked their combat suits one last time. Every soldier, every sailor, every officer knew their role in the coming fight. 1 minute. Stone took his command chair, securing the safety harness. The quantum jump would be smooth, another advantage over the swarm's rough transition technology. But regulations were regulations. 30 seconds. The humming of the quantum drive grew louder. Energy readings spiked across all ships as the revolutionary technology prepared to tear holes in space itself. 10 seconds. Stone's grip tightened on his armrests. Years of development, months of planning, all leading to this moment. Jump in 3, 2, 1. The universe bent around them, and humanity's revenge began. Reality twisted as the quantum drives activated across the human fleet. For a fraction of a second, every crew member felt their skin tingle as space itself bent around their ships. The sensation was nothing like the violent lurching of older jump technology. This was smooth, controlled, precise. Through the command window of the Thunder, Admiral Stone watched as normal space returned. But now, instead of empty darkness, his fleet had appeared in perfect formation directly above the swarm's gathered forces. The enemy's biomechanical ships hung below them like a sea of dark shapes, their organic hulls reflecting the light of New Hope's sun. "Jump complete," Captain Wells announced, his voice steady despite the adrenaline rushing through him. "All ships report successful transition. Position exactly as planned." The swarm ships didn't react at first. How could they? No one had ever performed a jump with such precision before. The human fleet had appeared less than 10 kilometers above their formation, an impossible feat by their standards. Multiple energy spikes from swarm vessels, Commander Gray reported from her sensor station. "They're just now registering our presence. Their command channels are lighting up with alert signals." Stone allowed himself a moment to appreciate the sight. 300 human warships, arranged in perfect attack formation, their weapons already charged and targeting systems locked. Below them, the swarm fleet was scattered in their standard patrol pattern, completely unprepared for an attack from above. "All ships, weapons free," Stone ordered. His voice carried across the fleet command channel. "Execute attack pattern Delta. Show them what humanity is capable of." The space between the fleets lit up as energy weapons discharged from every human vessel. Precisely targeted beams struck the swarm's larger ships exactly where their shields were weakest. Missiles streaked through the void, their quantum-guided systems making them almost impossible to dodge. First volley impact in 3, 2, 1. Chief Mortis counted down from his station. The swarm fleet erupted in a series of explosions. Their organic hulls, so resistant to conventional weapons, offered little protection against humanity's new quantum-enhanced armaments. Where once their bio-armor would have absorbed or deflected attacks, now it crumbled under the precisely targeted strikes. "Enemy fleet attempting to reorganize," Commander Gray reported. "Their larger ships are trying to form defensive clusters. Response time is slow. They're still in shock from our arrival." Through the command window, Stone watched as the swarm's massive high ships struggled to turn their bulk toward the threat. But they were too slow. The human fleet's position gave them a perfect firing angle on the enemy's weakest points. "Fighter squadrons launching from all carriers," Wells announced. "Strike groups moving to target designated coordinates." Streams of smaller craft poured from the sides of human carrier ships. Unlike the chaotic swarms of the enemy's biological fighters, these moved with practiced precision. Each squadron knew its target, its attack run already plotted before the jump. "Sir," Gray's voice carried a note of satisfaction. "Enemy communication patterns are showing signs of confusion. Their command structure is breaking down. They've never encountered an attack like this." Stone nodded. The swarm had always relied on their superior numbers and their ship's ability to regenerate damage. But they had never faced an enemy who could strike with such precision, who could appear exactly where they were most vulnerable. "Second volley prepared," Wells reported. "All ships maintaining position." "Fire at will," Stone commanded. "Don't let them recover their formation." Another wave of energy beams and missiles streaked from the human fleet. The swarm's attempts at organizing a defense crumbled as their ships exploded one after another. Their once fearsome biotechnology proved useless against humanity's quantum-enhanced weapons. "Enemy fighters launching," Gray reported. "But their patterns are disorganized. They have no coherent response plan." Stone watched as the battle unfolded exactly as their simulations had predicted. The swarm was finally learning what it meant to face a technologically superior enemy. The age of humanity had begun. The first minutes of battle unfolded like a deadly dance. Admiral Stone watched as the swarm's largest high ship, a massive organic vessel nearly 2 kilometers long, split apart under concentrated fire from 3 human cruisers. Its biological armor, once thought nearly indestructible, couldn't withstand the new quantum-enhanced weapons. Primary target eliminated, Captain Wells reported, his fingers moving across the tactical display. Secondary targets now moving to engage. Through the command window, Stone could see smaller swarm ships finally starting to react. They moved like angry insects, trying to swarm around the human vessels. But their usual tactics were useless against an enemy attacking from above with superior weapons. Enemy commanders attempting to coordinate a response, Commander Gray announced from her station. Intercepted communications show increasing panic. They're calling us space devils. A small smile crossed her face. They can't understand how we're hitting them with such accuracy. The truth was simple. Human targeting computers, linked to the quantum drive systems, could predict exactly where each swarm ship would try to move. Every attempted dodge, every evasive maneuver, only put them exactly where the human gunners wanted them. Fighter squadrons report multiple kills. Chief Morris called out, "Our pilots are targeting their biological weapon pods. The enemy can't launch their spore attacks if they can't get close enough." Stone nodded in satisfaction. The swarm's most feared weapon, clouds of corrosive spores that could eat through traditional hull armor, had been rendered useless. Human fighters kept them at bay with precise long-range strikes, never giving them a chance to close the distance. "Sir," Wells's voice carried urgency. "Large energy spike detected. The remaining high ships are trying something new." On the main display, Stone watched as 5 of the larger swarm vessels clustered together. Their organic hulls began to pulse with an eerie green light. This was a new tactic, something not seen in previous encounters. "Analysis," Stone demanded, leaning forward in his command chair. "They're channeling energy between their ships," Gray reported quickly. "Similar to how they regenerate damage, but on a much larger scale. They might be trying to combine their defensive capabilities." Stone's mind raced through the possibilities. The swarm was adaptive, always learning. But today, that wouldn't be enough. "All heavy cruisers, target that formation," he ordered across the command channel. "Full power to main guns. Fire on my mark." Across the human fleet, massive weapon systems hummed to life. The quantum-enhanced cannons drew power directly from their ship's cores, creating beams of energy that could pierce any known defense. "Enemy formation's energy levels still rising," Gray reported. "Whatever they're planning, it's going to be big." Stone watched the tactical display carefully, waiting for the perfect moment. The swarm ships had almost finished linking their energy fields. In seconds, they would have a combined defensive shield stronger than anything they'd shown before. But they were too late. "All ships, fire." Dozens of energy beams converged on the swarm formation. The combined defensive field they were creating shattered under the impact. Overloaded with energy, the massive high ships began to break apart. Their organic hulls, already strained by the power they were channeling, couldn't handle the additional stress. "Direct hits on all targets," Wells announced triumphantly. "Enemy formation is breaking up. Their linked energy field is collapsing." The destruction of their largest remaining ships sent the rest of the swarm fleet into chaos. Smaller vessels scattered in all directions, their coordination completely broken. Some tried to jump away, but their slowed jump drives made them easy targets. "Launch interceptors," Stone ordered calmly. "Don't let any of them escape to warn the other hive clusters." Squadrons of fast attack craft spread out across the battlefield, hunting down the fleeing swarm ships. The enemy's once mighty fleet was reduced to running, their feared biological weapons and regenerating hulls proving worthless against humanity's technological superiority. "Sir," Gray reported with a note of awe in her voice, "at current rate of engagement, total victory will be achieved in less than 10 minutes. This is unprecedented." Stone allowed himself a small smile. The swarm had terrorized human space for too long. Now finally, They were learning what it meant to face an enemy they couldn't adapt to overcome. The battle moved into its decisive phase as the remaining swarm ships tried desperately to find a way to fight back. Admiral Stone watched from the Thunder's command center as human warships executed perfect attack patterns, their movements precise and deadly. Enemy forces down to 30% strength. Captain Wells reported, his tactical display showing the continuing destruction of the swarm fleet. They're trying to form smaller groups now, probably hoping to overwhelm individual targets. Through the command window, Stone could see groups of 3 to 5 swarm ships clustering together, then charging at different human vessels. It was a desperate tactic, born of fear rather than strategy. Battle Group 2, engage those clusters, Stone ordered calmly. Show them why that won't work. The human response was immediate and devastating. Heavy cruisers moved in perfect coordination, their weapons catching the charging swarm ships in crossfire. There was no escape from the precisely targeted beams. "Sir," Commander Gray called out excitedly, "we're picking up something interesting in their communication patterns. They're actually arguing with each other." Stone raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "Some of their ship minds want to keep fighting, while others are pushing to retreat. They've never faced this kind of defeat before. They don't know how to handle it." The main display showed the battle in detail. Human ships moved like dancers in a deadly ballet, each movement calculated and precise. The swarm's biological vessels, despite their ability to heal and adapt, couldn't match this level of coordination. Multiple targets attempting to break orbit, Chief Morris announced from his station. Their engines are operating at dangerous levels. They're burning out their own ships trying to escape. Stone nodded grimly. Let them run themselves to death if they want. Maintain pursuit patterns. Don't let any of them get far enough to jump. The space around New Hope had become a graveyard of broken swarm ships. Their organic hulls, once seeming so fearsome, now drifted in pieces. The few remaining functional vessels fought with increasing desperation. "Watch this, Admiral," Wells said with pride in his voice. Battle Group 4 is about to execute the new hammer and anvil maneuver. On the tactical display, Stone watched as a group of human destroyers herded several swarm ships toward what looked like an empty sector of space. The enemy vessels, thinking they'd found an escape route, charged forward at full speed. Suddenly, 3 human cruisers dropped their stealth fields directly in the swarm's path. Caught between the destroyers behind them and the cruisers ahead, the enemy ships had nowhere to go. "Beautiful execution," Stone commented as the trapped swarm vessels vanished in a series of explosions. "Send my congratulations to Battle Group 4. "Sir," Gray interrupted, "we're detecting a power surge from one of the larger remaining swarm ships. Energy readings are off the charts." Stone leaned forward, studying the readings. The enemy vessel's biological core was glowing with impossible brightness. They're overloading their systems deliberately, he realized. They're going to try to take some of us with them. "Suicide attack?" Wells asked, already moving to respond. "Not today," Stone said firmly. "All ships in Sector 7, fall back. Long-range weapons only. Let's show them we can kill them without getting close." The human vessels smoothly retreated to a safe distance. The swarm ship's desperate attack plan had been anticipated and countered before it could even begin. Multiple beams from distant human ships converged on the glowing vessel, destroying it before its overload could reach critical levels. "Enemy effectiveness now below 20%, Morris reported. "They're losing ships faster than they can adapt to our tactics." Stone watched as another group of swarm ships fell to precision fire. The battle was moving exactly as planned, maybe even better. Humanity's new technologies had proven themselves beyond all expectations. "Send word to the recovery teams," he ordered. "As soon as we finish here, I want samples of their biotechnology collected for study. Next time we meet the swarm, we'll know even more about how to destroy them." The remaining swarm ships continued their futile attempts to fight back, but everyone on the bridge knew the truth. This wasn't just a victory. It was the beginning of the end for humanity's greatest enemy. Admiral Stone stood from his command chair as the final phase of the battle unfolded before him. The tactical display showed the remaining swarm ships scattered across space, their once mighty fleet reduced to barely 15% of its original strength. The few survivors were no longer fighting as an organized force. They were simply trying to stay alive. "Battle damage report," he ordered, his voice carrying across the quiet bridge. "Incredible news, sir," Captain Wells responded, checking his screens with a look of amazement. "Across our entire fleet, we're showing only minor damage to 8 ships. No casualties reported. Not a single human vessel lost." Commander Gray's hands moved quickly across her sensor station. "Sir, we're tracking the last major swarm groups. They've split into 3 clusters, each trying different tactics to survive." The main display highlighted the enemy groups. The first cluster had gathered their remaining large ships together, trying to combine their regenerative abilities. The second group was attempting to hide behind the debris of their destroyed companions. The third, and smallest, was making a desperate run toward the edge of the system. "Let's finish this properly," Stone said. "Battle Groups 1 and 2, engage the combined enemy cluster. Battle Group 3, flush out those ships hiding in the debris. Battle Group 4, cut off their escape route." The human fleet moved with mechanical precision. Their formation shifts were so perfect they almost seemed choreographed. The swarm's biological ships, despite all their adaptive capabilities, couldn't match this level of coordination. "First cluster engaging now," Wells reported. "Their combined regeneration field is strong, but our quantum weapons are still penetrating." Through the command window, Stone watched as concentrated fire from multiple human ships tore through the swarm's desperate defense. Their biological armor bubbled and burned under the assault, unable to regenerate fast enough to counter the precision strikes. "Second cluster detected," Gray announced. "They tried to ambush our ships from behind the debris field, but our sensors tracked their movement the whole time." The swarm's attempt at stealth proved useless against human technology. Ships trying to hide among the wreckage of their fallen companions found themselves targeted by weapons that could track them through any barrier. "The runner group is approaching jump distance," Chief Morris warned from his station. "They're pushing their engines beyond safe limits." Stone allowed himself a small smile. "Activate the quantum disruption field." Across the battlefield, invisible waves of energy rippled through space. The fleeing swarm ships suddenly lurched to a stop, their jump drives completely neutralized by humanity's new technology. "Enemy jump drives offline," Gray confirmed. "They're trapped in normal space." The remaining battle was short and one-sided. Human ships methodically eliminated each surviving swarm vessel, their quantum-enhanced weapons proving that biological regeneration was no match for technological superiority. "Last major cluster destroyed," Wells reported. "Only scattered individual ships remain." Stone nodded, watching as the final pieces of the battle fell into place. "Launch cleanup squadrons. I want every single swarm ship accounted for. No survivors to warn their other hive clusters." The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, coordinating the final strikes. After years of fighting the swarm, after watching human colonies fall to their biological weapons, this victory felt almost unreal. "Sir," Gray said, her voice filled with pride. "Final numbers coming in. We've destroyed or disabled over 2,000 swarm ships. This is the largest single defeat they've ever suffered." The tactical display told the story clearly. Where once there had been a massive enemy fleet, now there was only debris. The space around New Hope had become a graveyard of broken biological ships, a testament to humanity's technological triumph. "Send word to Earth," Stone ordered. "Tell them," he paused, choosing his words carefully. "Tell them that humanity has demonstrated our superiority. The swarm's reign of terror is coming to an end." As the message was sent, Stone looked out at the battlefield one more time. This wasn't just a victory. It was proof that humanity had finally surpassed their greatest enemy. the Age of Fear was over. 3 hours after the battle's end, Admiral Stone watched as recovery ships moved carefully through the debris field. The space around New Hope had become a vast marine salvage operation, with teams collecting both valuable technology and vital intelligence from the destroyed swarm vessels. Recovery Team Alpha reports another intact biocomputer core, Captain Wells announced, marking the location on the main display. That makes 7 we've recovered so far. Research Division will be very happy. The Bridge of the Thunder had taken on a different atmosphere now. The tension of battle had been replaced by the focused energy of scientists and recovery specialists studying their defeated enemy. "Sir," Commander Gray called from her station, "preliminary analysis of the swarm's communication records is fascinating. They genuinely couldn't understand what was happening to them. Their entire battle doctrine was based on overwhelming force and biological adaptation. Our quantum technology completely bypassed their evolutionary advantages." Stone nodded, walking to the tactical display where hundreds of green dots represented human recovery vessels moving through the wreckage. "How are the colonists doing?" "Medical teams have reached the surface," Chief Morris reported, pulling up ground reports. "The swarm didn't have time to do much damage to the colony before we arrived. Most structures are intact. Civilian casualties were—" He paused, checking his data, remarkably low. The colony's defense shields held longer than expected. Through the command window, Stone could see teams of specialized recovery ships using energy beams to carefully cut apart the larger pieces of swarm bioships. The organic technology, even in death, could be dangerous if not handled properly. "Message from Earth Command," Wells announced. "They're calling it the miracle at New Hope. News of our victory is spreading across all human worlds. The casualty reports, or lack of them, are being met with disbelief." Stone understood their surprise. In previous battles, even victories against the swarm had come at a terrible cost. But today, humanity had won without losing a single ship. "Recovery Team Delta has found something unusual," Gray reported suddenly. "They're detecting active power signatures from some of the larger debris chunks. The swarm ship's biological components are still trying to regenerate." "Fascinating," Stone said, moving to examine the readings. "Even in pieces, their survival instinct continues. Mark those sections for special containment. Our scientists will want to study this." The recovery operation continued with mechanical efficiency. Human ships moved in precise patterns through the debris field, their actions as coordinated as they had been during the battle. Nothing would be wasted. Every piece of swarm technology would be analyzed and understood. "Sir," Morris called out, "Colonial Defense Forces are beginning to emerge from their bunkers. They're requesting permission to assist with groundside cleanup operations." Stone smiled. The colonists of New Hope were showing typical human resilience. Even after months under swarm occupation, they were ready to help rebuild. "Ground teams are reporting something interesting," Wells added. "They found swarm ground facilities we didn't know about. Looks like they were setting up some kind of permanent base here." "That makes this victory even more important," Stone replied. "We didn't just save a colony. We disrupted their expansion plans." The main display showed a new set of data as research ships began their detailed scans of the battlefield. Each piece of debris, each fragment of swarm technology, would add to humanity's understanding of their enemy. "Update from the cleanup squadrons," Gray reported. "All escape vectors have been confirmed clear. No swarm ships made it out of the system. Our secret is safe for now." Stone nodded in satisfaction. The next time humanity's fleet jumped into battle, the swarm would be just as surprised as they were today. But for now, there was work to be done. "Begin preparing jump calculations for the recovery fleet," he ordered. "As soon as we're done here, we're taking everything we've learned back to Earth. It's time to plan our next move." The stars shined steadily through the command window as human ships continued their methodical work. Today's victory was just the beginning. 1 week after the Battle of New Hope, Admiral Stone stood in Earth Defense Command's main conference room. The wall-sized display showed a real-time map of known space, with human territories marked in blue and swarm-controlled regions in red. A team of analysts was updating the map, expanding the blue sections to show humanity's new reach. The strategic implications are massive, General Roberts said, addressing the gathered military leadership. The swarm has lost their most powerful fleet without even understanding how we did it. Every human colony is celebrating, and for good reason. Stone watched as more data appeared on the display. The scattered reports from across human space painted a clear picture. Everything had changed. The research teams have finished their preliminary analysis of the captured swarm technology, Dr. Evans reported, bringing up detailed scans of the bioship's remains. Their biological advantages are impressive, but they've reached an evolutionary dead end. They can't adapt fast enough to match our technological growth. Through the conference room's windows, Stone could see the sprawling complex of research facilities where pieces of swarm ships were being studied. Scientists worked day and night to unlock every secret of their enemy's biological technology. What about the quantum drive signatures? Another officer asked. Can the swarm detect them? No, Stone answered confidently. Their sensor technology is based entirely on biological systems. They can't even perceive the quantum fields we use. That's why our jumps surprised them so completely. The room fell quiet as new information appeared on the main display. Scout ships had been monitoring other swarm-controlled systems, watching their reactions to the loss of their fleet. They're pulling back, the intelligence officer noted, pointing to movement patterns. The swarm is abandoning their forward bases. They're consolidating their forces around their core worlds. They're afraid. Stone allowed himself a small smile. The swarm, which had terrorized human space for so long, was now on the defensive. Their biological superiority, once thought unbeatable, had been proven obsolete. The colonial defense forces are reporting massive increases in volunteer numbers, General Roberts added. Every human world wants to be part of what's coming next. They can smell victory. The display shifted to show construction yards in orbit around Earth and other major colonies. Dozens of new ships were being built, each equipped with the quantum technology that had proven so decisive. Production of quantum drives is ahead of schedule, Dr. Evans reported. We've simplified the design based on combat data. Within 6 months, every ship in the fleet will have the new technology. Stone stepped forward, addressing the room. What happened at New Hope wasn't just a victory. It was proof that humanity's path forward isn't through biological evolution like the swarm, but through our technological innovation. We've demonstrated that our intelligence, our creativity, our drive to improve through technology, is superior to their blind biological adaptation. The assembled leaders nodded in agreement. The battle had proven something they had long believed. Humanity's greatest strength was its ability to create, to innovate, to overcome challenges through ingenuity rather than evolution. The colonists of New Hope have already begun rebuilding, the colonial affairs representative added. They're calling their world the place where the swarm broke. It's becoming a symbol of humanity's resilience, and a symbol of what's to come, Stone said firmly. We've planned the next phase of operations. Within a year, we'll have pushed the swarm back to their core systems. Within 2 years, we'll be ready to end their threat permanently. The display showed the planned offensive routes, spreading out from New Hope like ripples in a pond. Each jump point was carefully calculated, each target selected for maximum strategic impact. The age of fear is over, Stone concluded, looking at each person in the room. The age of humanity has begun, and we will never again allow any species to threaten our existence. As the meeting continued, the sun set outside the conference room windows. Its last rays caught the edge of a newly constructed warship rising through the atmosphere, its quantum drive glowing with the power that would carry humanity to its destiny among the stars.